Hello, my fellow performers and Burly summer campers. I'm your naughty professor, Eilidh, here for the last of our Burly Summer Camp 2026. Yes, it is 26. Fan making tutorials. Of course, there will be more of these in the future, but this is the last for now. And we are making our cardboard box fans. And here's one I made earlier, or two, in fact. I can't even get them all in the screen, they're so big. So yes, this is the second part of the cellophane feathers tutorial, but you can use whatever you want. You don't have to use the same feathers, you can just learn how the grips work. Totally fine. No rules. Only limits are your own imagination. So, what you need. You need a cardboard box or just sheets of cardboard. I used like the inside of a thing that bedding comes wrapped around because that's what I had. You're also going to need some stretchy fabric. You could get this from, you could literally just use an old t-shirt if you want, particularly if they're just practice fans. You can use dancewear fabrics are great for this because they're often sparkly and they've got lots of bling already on them. You can like cut up an old party dress that you got from a thrift store that's covered in sequins. That will be a bit harder to work with, but it's doable. I'm going to put them down because they're actually quite heavy. These ones are definitely these ones are definitely heavier. The cellophane with the grip is heavier. Also, I'm holding two in one hand, and the encrusting with the gems does make them a bit heavier. They're maybe like the cakeboard fans are more lighter weight, or if you made these with real feathers instead of cellophane feathers or a different type of fake feather, they would be a bit lighter. They're not as heavy as full on dance fans, like full on like professionally made ones, but they are heavier. Um, okay, back to what you need. So, cardboard box, stretchy fabric. You need a tub of fabric glue or wood glue works as well. Just if you have any allergies to these things, make sure you've also got the extra protections and always work in a well ventilated space. And you might want scrap paper and object to draw around, or you could just freehand it. Depends on how confident you are in your drawing tools. Your tools, you're still going to need your glue, pot, palette, plate, glue spreader, might want a paintbrush as well, or instead of. You need, depending on what your fabric is, you need a pack of clothes pegs or woodworking spring clamps, or I used a pile of books, which I have been suggesting in other tutorials as an option if you don't have access to the pegs, or if you end up like finding your fan grips are springing apart still, particularly with the gems, but we'll get into that in the tutorial. You're also still going to need your silicone mats, towels, plastic bags, newspaper, plastic tablecloths, whatever you're using. You're going to need your fabric scissors. You can still use kitchen or craft scissors if you prefer, and if it's going to work with your fabric, especially if it's sequins, you might want to use craft scissors rather than fabric scissors for that. You need a permanent marker pen, an A3 or larger cutting mat. Again, I still am using my little A4 one and it is not big enough. I've damaged my table a little bit more. I've damaged my silicone mat a little bit more. That's silly. And then you'll need a box cutter similar. Space-wise, table, countertop. You might need a seat, whatever. Same as every time. And then optional decorations. You don't have to decorate them. You can just stop after a certain point, like once it's covered in fabric, especially if you're using sequins. That's enough. You don't need to rhinestone it. So I've used craft gems, but you could use rhinestones like we did with the cakeboard fans. You can mix and match, mix up the patterns. You need a bottle of gem tack, Duet, or similar crystal glue. I mean, you don't need it. You can use your Mod Podge, you can use your wood glue. I just like to use it because I prefer it. But you don't have to. And I would suggest you do need a paintbrush if you are going to encrust it in gems. But you, like I'll explain again, you can get away without one if you want to. Then time-wise, it took me 3 or 4 days, so about 4 hours across them for decorating, but you could take your time over it. Make the bases in one day, decorate each side individually, and then seal them. So 4 to 8 days roughly to decorate these. But it could take you even less if you decide you just want to cover it in fabric and you don't want to rhinestone it, or you want to do a scatter pattern rather than encrusting, and that will take less time. So again, this project assumes you're going to have to buy most of these materials, but may already have at least some of the tools from past projects. So cost-wise, it in addition to what I already had, I bought £4 worth of craft gems out of the works. But if you wanted all four sides of the fans to match instead of 2 and 2, then I'd actually advise getting 4 packs instead of 2, so £8, plus a bottle of special gem glue is about £5 to £10 depending on what the brand is and where you get it from. The cardboard was free, and my fabric is left over for another project, but I think it probably cost me about £5 for a metre of it. But you could buy an old top out of a charity shop or a thrift store for a few quid. Just choose something with a little bit of stretch in it. Again, dancewear fabric is perfect for this. Okay, how to make your cardboard box fans. Again, we're going back to stage 1 and 2, and then we're going to skip ahead. So again, prepare your tools and materials from the what you need checklist. That might take a few days if you need to buy things or find them in your craft stash. Stage 2, set up your space, clear off your work surface, make room to create your fans, and then protect your surfaces with your towel and silicone mat, newspaper, plastic bags, white cling plastic tablecloth, whatever that is. Okay, now because this is really part 2 of the cellophane feather making tutorial, we're skipping ahead to stage 4. But you could do this first and then just use real feathers, or make your feathers later and then put them in. There's, again, no rules. No rules, just make them work for you. So stage 4. Next, you can draw out a design on some scrap paper, or you can find a bowl or plate to draw around if you want to make round grips, more like the skateboard fans. I already had a template from another project that I just decided to use. As I'm building up a wee library of these template shapes I can use again and again. Then draw around it onto your cardboard 4 times. You might need to deconstruct the box first and cut it down with your box cutter carefully. I didn't need to because mine was already just like a big flat piece. Using your cutting mat, again, ideally A3. The A4 one I have is just a bit too small. First cut your cardboard into kind of easier to manage pieces. I cut mine into 4 bits, and then carefully cut around your drawn outlines, turning the cardboard rather than your hand around any curves, and making sure to cut away from or across and not towards your body for safety reasons. And then repeat that until you have 4 of the same shape. It's okay if they're not a perfect match, that's fixable later. Next, get your fabric. Make sure you've pre-washed it, and if it needs ironed, do that before working with it. Mine was already prepped and ready to go, so we just got straight in there. Then you can make another paper template that's about 1 to 2 inches bigger all around your shape and use that as a pattern. Or like me, just eyeball it by drawing around your cardboard grip bases, but like about 2 inches around it. Then cut one of them out and use it as a template for the other 3 you need to draw onto your fabric. Then cut out your shapes. Actually, the project that this fabric is for, I haven't finished yet, but I knew I had more fabric than I needed for it. So I just cut out all 8 of the pieces that I needed at the same time, so that might kind of show up a little bit in the video, but you just need 4 for this, unless you're making multiple sets for like a troop show or something, and then just like cut out as many as you can get on the fabric, basically. So yeah, once you've got all 4 pieces of fabric and all 4 cardboard grip bases. Turn your first fabric shape face down on your crafting space. Spread a thin layer of fabric or wood glue all over the front of your cardboard grip base, using protective gloves, an apron and mask if needed, and always working in a well-ventilated space. Just open a window, folks. Then lay it glue side down on the back of your fabric shape. Press down firmly and gently. Set it aside and repeat until you have 4 in this state. Then you can leave them to dry for 24 hours, but you can also work with them again after the glue has been left to set enough to not peel away after. It's usually about 2 hours, but read the instructions on the glue you're using, which is what I did because I'm I'm on a tight timeline for these, and I'm 2 weeks behind where I intended to be. So now with your fabric scissors or your craft scissors, depending on what your fabric is, carefully cut into the overlapping loose fabric around the edges of your grips, putting more notches in around any curved edges. And if, like mine, they have a point, cut a triangle out of the excess fabric so the points meet. And then do this with all 4 grips. Then take your first grip and lay it face down on your surface. Spread a thin layer of glue around the exposed cardboard around the edge of the back. Carefully pull all of the flaps over and stick them down. You may want to either cut any overlapping... I've written butts instead of bits. Over at the corners, or put extra glue under them where they lay over the last flap that you've laid down, making sure to leave the 2 overlapping flaps at any point out until last, and the middle of any curve for last. So for the middle of any curve, if you're making round and not pointed shapes, put extra glue over the already stuck down flaps and then pull that over the top carefully and press them down. So if it's a circle, you're going to have more of these. I just had the 1. And then for the 2 flaps either side of any point, first put extra glue over the top of the already stuck down flaps beside them, then stretch 1 over slightly diagonally, press that down, then cut the overlapping border, not corner, along the edge of the grip, and then repeat that with the second flap over the top. Set that aside and repeat until you have all 4 grips covered in your fabric of choice. Then you can leave them to dry for 24 hours before decorating them, but again, a 2-hour break for the glue to set enough to work with is fine. And again, because I'm on a tight deadline for these, I did that. Depending on your fabric weight, like if you use something sequined, you might want to peg it in place, but I didn't need to for mine. Stage 5, and finally we're on to decorating. Like I said in the cakeboard fans tutorial, there's basically 2 forms of rhinestoning: scatter patterns and encrusting. For these fans, I decided on encrusting. 2 different ways, baby. I'll put them back down now. So yes, I decided to demonstrate encrusting, and again, I chose to do different patterns on either side, but you could do the same and that would be fine. Or you could do 4 totally different ones if that's what your act needs. For this tutorial, we're decorating the grips first, then constructing the fans, but either way is fine. I just wanted to show you both options across this and the cakeboard fans tutorial, and this way was easier to work with the cellophane feathers. I used 2 boxes of craft gems, but if you wanted all 4 sides the same, get 8 so you have enough. No, 4, not 8. Get 4. £8 for 4 boxes. That's where I've gone wrong. Get 4 so that you basically have a box per side and you'll have enough of each. Then you'll have leftovers for making matching accessories like a headpiece and decorating your pasties to match, instead of the opposite way that I'm doing with the cakeboard fans and the pasties I already have. So first, lay your fan grip face up on your work surface. Spread a generous layer of your glue across one section. You can just use your fabric glue or wood glue again. I just prefer using Julep for rhinestoning. You can plan your design in advance, or like me, because again, causing problems on purpose to troubleshoot them. You'll low it and place gems randomly, starting either in the middle and working out, or at the edge and working in. I kind of did a bit of both across the two different designs. So keep spreading your glue over different sections until you've fully covered your first grip in your gems. Then set it aside. You can leave it to dry for 24 hours or just leave it where you can see it, so you can copy the pattern you created and move on to your second grip, just copying it over. I'm working on my little table that's got like an extra little side table. I put a spare silicone mat down, and then I put the one that was done on there and the one I was working on my little table. But work with your space. Then set that aside to dry. And if you're doing all 4 sides the same and have enough gems for that, just keep your reference grip handy and then repeat it across the other 2 grip bases until you've got all 4. But if, like me, you didn't have enough gems for that, set the first 2 aside and create a new design using the same method as before. Spread some glue, stick some gems down, do another area with what you have. And if you're working this way, then set the same amount of gems for the second matching grip aside. I'd suggest, if you haven't pre-planned your pattern, doing some of the design on the first fan on one side, then setting it aside so you can see and copy it onto the other grip base, then doing more of the design on that one, and then swapping between them until they're fully covered, and just setting aside, oh, I've used 6 of the purple gems, you need to keep 6 of them so I don't accidentally use them all and then go, oh, there's no purple gems left for this fan. Because again, we're troubleshooting, we're figuring out where the snafus might be for you. And then, yeah, just swap until they're both completely covered. Then you do need to leave them to dry for 24 hours at this point, because otherwise the gems will just shift around and fall off before coming back to seal them, which I prefer to use an old paintbrush for, but you can get away with a glue spreader and a cloth if needed, or your fingers, as long as you're wearing gloves to protect your hands. Basically, you slather your glue or varnish all over the gems and fan grips, getting into the spaces in between, all the nooks and crannies, which I find easier with a paintbrush, just like an old one that I've had since college that it's a bit bald, it's covered in glue and paint, the information is chipped off of it. It's wrecked already, it's no good for actually painting stuff, but it's fine for glue and it's fine for sealing stuff. And then you don't need to be neat with this at all, especially if you've got your surface protected. Just slather it on there, slap it on there, get in. I quite like to do like a circular motion because I think that gets in, massages the glue into all the nooks and crannies. And then set aside your first sealed grip to dry, and then repeat until all 4 are sealed. Leave them to dry for 24 hours. And then we're on to our final stage, stage 6. So now, of course, you could have constructed these fans first, then decorated them, but it is much easier for me anyway to do it this way around, particularly with the delicate cellophane feathers. If you have a glue gun, you might want to glue the feathers onto the back of one half of your fan grips first, but it does work fine without one. Fine, not fine. That's why I'm tripping up over my own tongue. I've written the wrong word. It does work fine without one, and I'm assuming you don't have one for this project. You will just need to like push the ends of the feathers, what are they called again? Cable ties. You'll just need to push the ends of the cable ties in so that they don't like spring up and away a few times. If that annoys you, then like hot glue them down or super glue them down first and then come back to like sandwich the fans together. So we are going to make a sandwich again. So lay your first grip down face down on your surface, slather the back, which should be exposed cardboard, with glue, place your feathers down in the pattern that you'd like them to be in. I decided on kind of rainbow going, I should be on the screen, rainbow going kind of like reddy orange, yellowy green, tealy, bluey purple, kind of like that. But you do whatever you want, and you can kind of use the ideas that the cakeboard fans showed you to decorate with real feathers or decorate with fabric feathers you've made in a different way from another tutorial. Again, the possibilities are endless and exciting. So yes, once you've got that down, you have pressed the feathers, the ends of the cable ties into the glue. Get them on the base, carefully pressing them into that base. Then take the grip you want to use as a top layer, slather the back of that in glue before lining it up with the base and then pushing it down firmly until you've closed your sandwich. And you might need to wiggle them into place a little bit, but don't worry if they shift a little. There are some places where they don't quite line up because I am not perfect at cutting. I cannot cut fully perfectly and get 4 of the same thing. My hands are too wonky for that, and that's okay. Also, like, sometimes where the fabric's gone over, it's made one side like a little bit chunkier than the other. The tips might not quite match up. Again, I've kind of left this for reasons I'll explain, but also because I wanted to be able to show you this in the tutorial. Like, that's okay, we can fix it later. There's an optional bonus bonus thing once you've constructed it. Yes, so you've closed your sandwich. If you've had to wiggle them back into place, that's fine. Set that aside and repeat on the second fan. Now lay that down as close as you can to your first fan, or get 2 piles of books and put them in different places if you don't have the space for that. And placing, I don't even know what I've written there, placing a towel or silicone mat over the fans, like to protect your books or whatever you're using, and to protect your fans from any newsprint, etc. Place a towel or silicone mat over the fans, then pile some heavy books over the top. You can put them on a tray if that helps, or like I used my nail polish storage container to give them a stable base, or you can just use a bigger hardback book. Hardback. There should be a D in there. We really are finding all the errors in real time. So that works. You can use your clamps again depending on how you decorated your fans, but it might not work over the gems, and a pile of books is best for this task. Plus, I just wanted to have a visual demonstration of that since I've mentioned it over the other tutorials as an option. Then leave it to dry for 24 hours. Put away your tower of books, clean up your space, and you're done. Your fans are ready to play with at this point. There is an optional bonus extra action that I haven't done, but you can do. So the gaps along the edges, you may want to fill these in with puffy paint, like we did on our cake board fans. But I'm leaving mine because A, I wanted to show you this, and B, I want to pull them apart later, which is much harder to do. Not impossible, but harder to do if you've puffy painted up the edges. I could probably get a box cutter in there and lever it out if I'm careful. And if I'm not careful, then, well, these are purely for teaching purposes for me. They won't be making it on stage. It's fine. But yeah, I want to pull them apart later and potentially swap out the cellophane feathers once I'm done teaching with them. Maybe for real feathers, maybe for a different type of fake feather. I do want to experiment with making some fabric ones in the future. But yeah, that's it. You've got your fans. That's it for the Burly Summer Camp fan making tutorials. Ta-ta for now, and maybe I'll see some of you in my Autumn Act Development series. Bye!